What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Gaerea. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, you guys have been pretty busy throughout the course of this whole pandemic. I gotta say, where we got Limbo out. Before we, touch upon everything else, I really want to know what the thought process was with the making of Limbo. Was there kind of like a preconceived idea? How did Limbo sort of come to be?
Well, first off, Limbo, well, I like to think that way, which is a sort of reflection of a very busy promotional period with the first album. So we got the first really active lineup since then, and I guess we're became a more serious band when we were touring with the first album. And yeah, I think Limbo is some sort of honest reflection of the band that grew to be the same band that people know right now. About, well, concept-wise and creation process, it's all written by the same person, a bit different from what we did with the Unsettling Whispers, which was some sort of cooperation. But everything in Limbo is written by me, with the excellent execution of everybody in the band in the studio. But yeah, it's some sort of continuation from where the Unsettling Whispers album left off. It all ended with an episode we tell in the Catharsis music video from the Unsettling Whispers album, with some sort of a fall of our character. And Limbo takes off from that same fall with the two main tracks. So we tell some sort of the same fall, the same story, but with another perspective. In the Unsettling Whispers, we told this story from the third person, from this character watching around him and being inside this nightmare where everything is really utopian and distorted. And in Limbo, he finds himself part of this society, and we discover the same things, but with another perspective, a more intimate perspective. Yeah, so overall, not getting too detaily on that, but
Yeah.
yeah, that.
It's fair to say like Limbo is almost kind of like the sequel to Unsettling Whispers. Like if a person just wanted to get into you now, do you recommend like they start off with Unsettling Whispers and then move on to Limbo to get a real full context of the story?
Oh, definitely. Mostly to understand where all this started. Of course, we have an EP we released prior to all this Vortex society thing, where we were still discovering if we could ever be some sort of a band or whatever. But yeah, I would definitely start with the Unsettling Whispers album and then go from that. Not just to discover a bit of our concept and what this story grew up to be, but well, to understand a bit more the music itself and the progression it took from the Unsettling Whispers to Limbo.
Well, did you think of this concept beforehand, before you started writing the music, or did this concept and this story kind of develop as you were more or less exploring your instrumentation and exploring your sound in a way?
Yeah, we only start. I only start writing music when I have some sort of specific idea of what the lyrics and the whole concept and even the cover art may look like or be like. It kind of helps me to put out the idea, the musical ideas, and I guess everything will fall into the right place. But still, a lot of things, even the writings we have on our booklets and our extensive booklets with just thoughts and explaining a bit around the lyrics. All of these kind of continue to grow as we start writing the record until we wrap up the booklet designs or everything. So the creation process kind of starts in writing music, and it ends when we just finish everything and wrap up the whole thing for production. So yeah, the music doesn't get any priority before we have some sort of a draft or basic lines for the concept or even the continuation of the previous record. That's what we did with Limbo. I don't know how will it be with a new record or whatever, but it has been like that since day one.
Hmm. And one thing I'm curious about is you mentioned like a character that's like demonstrating, and do you almost feel like that this story, like, does this come from like maybe a personal experience, or like is this like a direct extension of who you personally are, or do you feel like that maybe not even just with the album but the band in general, you're kind of demonstrating something that's completely outside of who you are?
Well, I guess both. We've got similar questions when we were promoting this, where people were comparing this, or even thinking that we wrote Limbo mid pandemic or something, which was not the case. We went to the studio in 2019, so yeah, nothing related. Even though I can see some similarities with what we're living, this utopian way of watching our society just burn every day. But no, Limbo actually lives from some of the experiences we got on tour, as I said, and it's fiction. It's fiction with some slide of personal experience. With me being on the road with the guys and traveling a lot with my work. So yeah, I tend to blend it a bit more without getting too much of a personal insight or personal opinion, but just getting creativity flow, and as I write stuff, trying to know where it leads me. And yeah, we stick to this concept because this is an urban black metal concept project, because we're based on society, and as much as we hate this society, we gotta love it because it's our source of inspiration.
Yeah, the world. I had a discussion about this. Like, there's no way. Artists like to say that art is my escape from reality, and that like the world doesn't influence me. That is such bullshit. The world is going to influence you one way or another, whether you like it or
Yeah.
not. Like, experience is what holds as the armature behind your art.
Yeah, I guess there's no more complex art form such as humanity. We gotta inspire ourselves from the world around us. We don't live in a big city like New York or whatever, but we kind of live in one of the biggest cities in our country, Porto. And if you've seen, for example, the Conspiranoia video, it's a reflection and insight of how we see our city and how we see these people. And yeah, it's a thought process inside a video on in which we shoot the video in specific locations that are very dear to us. For example, the shopping mall where we rehearse. The first time we met someone special to the band. It's all of those things inside society that it's very important to us, even though we don't get very detailed on that, because I don't think people will care that much where we rehearse or whatever, but it's important to us to have that view and have that sort of reminder to know where all of this comes from, which is the world around us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And when I listen to a track such as Null or Glare or Urge or Mare, like those tracks really, like, I feel like create an atmosphere where like you feel like you're in the earth, but it almost seems like you're in it seems like, an album's always supposed to put you in a state of mind, but I feel like with Limbo, it almost kind of puts you in the earth's state of mind in a way. It kind of represents what I interpreted it as, is kind of like the earth's mental state, if you will.
Yeah, it could be. For me, Limbo, at the same time as talking about like salvation and despair, two things like getting away from something, but still being trapped inside it. Limbo is all of these things to me, and of course, it will grow more on me. So because I'm still figuring out how I feel about the album, because yeah, for me, we just released it yesterday because we can't tour with it, and I can't grow much more of the album from it without touring. But for me, it's this intimate thought process of getting away from something, even though we need it and we love it, because we're still trapped inside it. So if, for example, in the Unsettling Whispers album, we talked about this weird society where feelings are definitely suppressed, and it's just work, and this very gray atmosphere around that album. In Limbo, we kind of try our best to get away from that, even if that means some sort of like mass suicide, which is what happens in Mare. It's actually undercover. It's the moment where people realize they were finally allowed to die and to just get away from everything and everything that consumes them in that world. It's the whole point of Limbo is to find a getaway from all of that.
Well, they've always said that only the dead will truly be free. So
yeah,
yeah. So, and
that's true.
I don't mean to say that in like a negative way or something like that, but that's just true. I mean, we're all confined to this earth, whether we like it or not, and the only time you're ever, and there are laws that you have to follow. There are scientific principles that are just completely objective, that there's no escaping. So when you die, that's the only point where like everything that the earth has either taught you, or your experiences are just gone. You know what I mean? Like everything you do is just everything that we've done. So,
well, from the moment you leave, you get into this world, and you don't have any other. People sometimes think we're being like too agonizing or too desperate about existence itself, but again, it's the existence itself that imports all of these ideas into us, and that's a really good thing. We're just reflecting on that and thinking about it and creating something which I think resembles with some of the people that follow us, even though people might not understand or read throughout the whole thing that we write, because we're not book writers. We're music making people. So even by just listening to the music, you can feel something about, even just a glimpse of what we really wanted to tell. I guess it's great because the message is understandable.
Yeah, and I think with the world that we live in now, I mean, there's just so much context that's added behind it that, like, I feel like this is a record that I think resonates with people, and I feel like it is relatable and also open to interpretation. I feel like you have the ability to engage people into the story you're talking about, but also they can make it their own in a way.
Yes, and I think that's something we just realized after, of course, having the album out there. And we're still getting some people messaging us or getting to us, telling how the record helped them in any way, or if it means this thing or another or whatever. If people are trying to find their way into the album and to understand it their own way, I think it's just brilliant, because every artist, wants to be understood to a certain level. So if we get that impression from some people, it's just perfect, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always thought that with your lyricism too. You guys remind me a lot of Life Lover. I don't know if you ever listened to
Of
them.
course,
Yeah,
of course.
but like that. I mean, that Pulver album or the Erotica album. I mean, those are as dark as it gets, and as like misanthropic, and like has such a negative outlook on the world. But they create such an essence of beauty with it. They're able to kind of like bring an essence of organized chaos that resorts into something meaningful and beautiful. And at the same time, for a lot of listeners who don't speak Swedish like myself, it's also relatable and open to interpretation. And I feel like you guys achieve sort of like a similar principle.
Yeah, that's true. Uh, yeah, that's total true. It's open for interpretation, and if we can create this atmosphere where everything is beautiful, melodic, and still aggressive and explosive, that's what Gaerea stands for in a musical perspective. And all of the rest, it's for interpretation, and well, the lyrics sort of have that role around them, where everything is some sort of statement. For example, about getting back to society, we have this say in the track "To Ain," where we sing something like, "I hate mankind." How it is? I hate mankind uh, because I'm one of the best of them, and still I know how bad I am. We're not claiming like we're some sort of high entity above mankind, but still realizing the flaws we have as human beings, and knowing well how bad we still are, like getting aware of how poor uh, and our flaws, and still acknowledging that. So yeah, being aware of our own bad thoughts and obsolete existence, I guess.
Well, that's something I've always like. The best way I could describe like Gadia is almost like you guys are very self-aware, and that's something I've always admired. Like I hear that in the music. There's like an essence of self-awareness behind it. You're not just hating on mankind or trying to either be edgy or trying to be politically rebellious. I think you're just observing and you're analyzing and you're interpreting it, and this is what we get. And I feel like there's a great essence of self-awareness throughout this whole album, and I feel like that's almost like the underlying subject matter.
It is. It is actually. For example, the Unsettling Whispers album is all around this voyeurism or wanderer guy that just walks the earth and tells in the third person to the listener through the lyrics, of course, and the texts. What he's seeing and what he some sort of a reporter or journalist or whatever you might want to call him. So yeah, we act as observers of this rotten world we're inside, and again, we're just in love with that, even though we know it's rotten from the core. It's the only one we got. So we gotta hate it and love it at the same time.
It's all. I feel like the world is the ultimate love-hate relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. And I have two more questions for you, but we're also promoting this live stream performance that you're going to be doing very soon. Um,
Yeah.
so with this live stream performance, are we going to be seeing a side of Gaia that we may not have seen before with the use of technology and with the world that we're currently living in now? There's no denying that there's no better time than to hear Limbo or Unsettling Whispers or anything like that.
Yeah. This is something that I never. Well, I told the guys. Well, when all bands started to do this live stream thing back in March or even April last year, I always said like we're not going to do this because the first streams were with bands getting to a venue and like portraying this idea that they were doing a show just for the cameras, and I really don't see the point, because the way I see a show is the way that it should be, of course, with people and people getting drunk, people moshing or just whatever, buying merch and hanging out. So I said we're not doing this, and the whole idea of doing this live stream came to be with us starting to have the second row of shows being canceled later last year, and we just decided, well, if we can't perform this album in its entirety from start to finish, let's just go to the best studio we can find in our hometown, because of course we're fucking confined, we can't do anything else. So let's find the best studio we can, work with them, and have a camera over there and just record from start to finish with no tricks or gimmicks or whatever, the most raw energy we can get, which is the one that we feel right now and the one that we would wish to show to people in a live scenario. But let's just do it and go to some sort of live room inside this studio and have the camera be the audience. And this some sort of 360 view where the camera is in the center and we're like surrounding the camera. And yeah, let's do that. So not going to a venue, but having a different perspective of this band and how we work in a studio environment. Whatever gear we use, because everything is over there, and having the most out of a situation, which is horrible. But the whole idea was to perform this album once and for all, for people to watch it and see how, for example, this band sounds in an analog or fully analog console. In a vintage studio, for example. That's what we did. Everything is just recorded in this very old school way of recording everything, and I think it just sounds massive and very different from the Limbo production, which is very modern and punchy and fucking explosive.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this because I really think that this is going to show a different side of not just Gaerea, but I think the side of live streams. I feel like it's going to create an alternate reality that we can immerse ourselves in that isn't too different from the world that we're currently in. But I think you can make us enjoy the shit that we live in.
I hope so. I hope so. Of course, this is the first time we do such a thing. Of course, we already went to studios and did like live streams. But not a full show, not being like a 1 hour experience inside it and recording it as we should. So we wanted to keep this honesty about everything and not just like recording guitars in a separate room and then going with drums. So everything that you are hearing and watching is being done at the same time.
And we're stoked.
So that's what we wanted.
It's going to be as real of a live stream as it can get.
I hope so.
And before I go, is there just anything else with Gaerea that you would like to promote in terms of maybe you have this live stream performance happening very soon? What's the date again?
February 13th.
February 13th. Okay, is there just anything else in terms of new music or new merch or anything else that you would like to promote for Gaerea?
Absolutely. We have some exclusive merch being on sale during this stream. There will be like some sort of virtual shop in the corner of the whole thing happening on the Gimme Metal app. But yeah, mostly we just want people to enjoy the show. I guess this is only like $10 or whatever. It's just super symbolic for everybody's work at Season of Mist and Gimme Radio. Since they're launching this for the first time, I guess we are one of the first bands doing this with them, if not the first. So we're just very optimistic and very thankful for everybody's work, even yours, with your interest in interviewing us. Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you, man, and I really hope people will find some comfort in this live stream.
Well, I think what they're going to find is honesty, which, an argument can be made that that's what maybe a live stream performance does tend to lack. So I think either way, we're going to get a one of a kind live stream, and we're stoked.
Yeah, me too, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody, we are here with Gaerea. Be sure to check out Limbo and check out their live stream performance February 13th. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We will see you next time.